Entertainment World Soldier here, and I am back to talk about Star Trek Discovery Season 4, Episode 4, and my thoughts on this episode. And my thoughts are, it was terrible, but it had a great ending, and it explains so much about this season so far. The reason that we've been seeing a certain character all the time. And I am happy the person is gone, because we had someone leave the show this episode. Don't know if they're coming back, but it did look a lot like it was a final episode. So could not be happier for this person to be gone. Other than that, this episode, a mess. The big story felt more like a little story. The other story they had in this episode, I mean, it should have been an episode on its own, especially for the person they had leading that mission. And then we had a book story, and it's a waste of time. I know he's going through shit. I know it. But you can't have one episode where he's not in it. His stuff just was absolutely pointless. Just absolutely pointless in this episode. But other than that, yeah, it was a mess, boring, annoying. I mean, the only thing that gets me through these fucking episodes is I can shit on it. That's the only thing that helps me get through. Because if I wasn't doing reviews, I wouldn't be bothering with this show. Because it is just so bad. To the point of just like who is this for? Because it isn't for Star Trek fans. And it's just a waste of money. The ratings are down. Again, to the people who are Discovery fans, yeah, the ratings are down. Okay, they're way down than what they should be right now at season 4 of a Star Trek show. Because a lot of Star Trek shows take a bit of time to find their edge, to find, their rhythm. Star Discovery is still not finding their edge, they're still not finding their rhythm, they're still a fucking joke. And still copying the Orville. I mean, the swearing in this episode was childish. Completely childish. But other than that, yeah, it's not a great episode. Pointless in some parts. And as I said, as I've been saying throughout these Discovery reviews, Michael Burnham was going to bring a certain planet back into the Federation, and I was fucking right. I was completely bloody right. But let's get into spoilers now, because I'm just going to get on with it. 3, 2, 1, right. Tilly is gone. Tilly is fucking gone. Oh, I'm so fucking happy. God, I'm so happy she's gone. She is the most annoying character on this show, and she is finally gone. Out of here. Goodbye. Don't know why, because apparently this show is a success if you believe certain idiots online. But yeah, apparently it shows such success that Tilly is leaving. The actress is leaving to do something else, and it's just like, smart move. This show isn't going to get any better. It will probably get a season 5. I have no doubt about that. But the ratings still are going down. This show is still not making money. This show is still becoming a massive noose around CBS's neck. The amount of money they're wasting on this show. And again, it's not... if they just had a decent story. Just a decent story. I'm not asking for amazing, just decent. Okay? Because, for God's sake, the actress who plays Michael Burnham can act. Okay? She's not a terrible actress. I liked her in The Walking Dead, when I actually liked The Walking Dead. She was a great actress in that show. And I thought she was going to be in this show. But the problem isn't her. It's the writing. It's the story. It's annoying. It's just where do they get these writers from? So when I talk about how bad the writing is, this episode is a perfect example of it. Because we had a story about Tilly taking recruits or cadets on a mission, on a training mission, and it gets fucked up by a gamma ray that hits their ship. It crashes on the planet, and this episode should have focused on that, especially it being Tilly's final episode. This episode should have focused on her. And it makes sense now why we've seen almost too much of Tilly in these couple of episodes, because she was leaving. I didn't know that, so it makes sense now. But this episode should have just focused on her. It should have focused on her teaching these recruits. Because this episode is pretty much a fucking copy of, Picard and Wesley's crash, and, Janeway and the Three Rejects episode from Voyager. They sometimes do this in Star Trek. They have an episode where somebody takes cadets out or weak Starfleet people and fixes them to make them better for Starfleet. And Star Trek used to be good at this, and this episode, not really. I mean, they didn't focus on it, which was the first bad thing. Another thing was there was too many cadets. Tilly should have had one or two with her. It should have been a lot more condensed. I mean, the human girl was pointless in this episode. Didn't bring anything on the table. Seymour, just a waste of time. It should have been the Orion and the other alien guy. And I don't know why. What's her in the face called again? Andrea's there. Why is she there? She shouldn't have been there. It should have just been Tilly and two cadets, and she's trying to train them. But they need to put so much crap in this episode, and that's the biggest problem with this episode. Because not only are we dealing with this, we're also dealing with the Navarans. And again, I hate the fucking Navaran shit, but the Navarans want to join back with the Federation, and but problem is they want to have a get out clause so the mistakes of the past don't happen again to the Navarans. Now this story again should have been its own episode. It shouldn't have had to share. This is an important moment for Starfleet. The Vulcans are coming back to the Federation. The Romulans are now joining the Federation. This should be the biggest episode of the season. This could have been a great episode with maybe Romulans planning an assassination of the president of Navarre, trying to stop them joining the Federation because they hate the Federation that much. This could have been like a serious episode where this was that it was so dangerous that the Romulans were thinking of leaving Navarre and going back to Romulus or going back to something else, because apparently Romulus got blown up. So they kept that shit canon, didn't they? Yes, but going back to the Romulan Empire or trying to start that shit up again. This could have been a time where Discovery transformed itself, where the Romulans come back into the fucking galaxy as a strong power, and they say that we've only worked with the Navarans because or the Vulcans because we were desperate, but now we're not desperate. We've been planning our escape. I mean, it could have been a big episode, and they wasted it. They wasted it on some pointless fucking argument of, well, the Navarans want to think of leaving, and that pisses the Federation off because that's them having one foot in the door and one foot out the door. And it kind of felt like Brexit to me. And again, I'm British, and we've had to go through that shit a lot. So that kind of did piss me off, because it felt like it was like some political bullshit statement they were trying to make. And I'm not here for it. Trust me, if you're bloody British, you know what I mean when I say I'm done with talking about Brexit. It's fucking annoying. But yeah, it was dumb. I mean, it's such an easy fix that the resolution they had in this episode was, well, Michael Burnham will be the head of this committee that will look at the deal with the Federation about joining the Federation and keep an eye on it whilst the Navarans are part of the Federation. So that if the Navarans ever feel like they're being disrespected, or they feel like the Federation is becoming too powerful or too controlling, that they can have somebody come in and tell the Federation to stop. That's what they agreed to at the end of this episode, or at least the end of this story. And I think it's stupid. It was boring. The whole fucking storyline with the president having to sneakily bring Michael Burnham and Saru to the planet, to the meeting, and then have this cryptic crap talk with Burnham that was cringe as fuck, by the way. I mean, again, all you had to do was tell Michael Burnham all this bullshit at the start of the episode. Say, yeah, Michael, the Navarans are thinking about joining the Federation, but they're also thinking about, they want a get-out clause. You know, if you just started the episode like that, it might have been a bit better. But at the end of the day, the whole fucking thing was shit. Like, absolute garbage. I mean, of course the Navarans would have issues with joining back with the Federation because of their history with the Federation. I mean, it would make sense to have a get-out clause. It also would make sense that the Federation wouldn't say... I mean, a better fucking compromise would be have 100 years where the Navarans can leave the Federation. 100 years. But after 100 years, the Navarans have to then cancel that clause in the deal. Which means everybody walks away from the table happy. The Navarans get time to get used to being part of the Federation again, and the Federation have the Navarans as part of the Federation, which will help them. That's a better compromise than having Michael Burnham be the fucking hero of this episode, which was the whole fucking point. Because as I've been saying throughout my videos, Michael Burnham needs to be the one to bring the Navarans into the Federation. They're not going to let anybody else do it. So, as soon as I heard that the Navarans were going to join the Federation, I knew something would go wrong, and I knew Michael Burnham was going to be the one to fix it, which was just pointless and boring, and just not an interesting story. But that's how that story ends. I'm just going to get through Booker's crap, because, again, shouldn't have been in this episode. He's just taking time away from the main story to deal with his depression shit. And I get it. He lost his planet. He lost his family. Give him a break. Give him a week off. You don't need to have him in every fucking episode. Can I just remind everybody who's watching this, we still don't know most of the fucking crew. The only fucking one I know on the bridge is Deadmore. And that's because they actually tried to do something with her in the 3rd season. And now they've pretty much given up and are just focusing on Michael Burnham, Brooke, the gay doctor guy, Stamets, and the trans couple. That's about it. Everybody else, go fuck yourself. I mean, this is a Star Trek. You're supposed to have a interesting bridge crew. Like Voyager did. Like Enterprise did. Like fucking Deep Space Nine, like Next Generations, like the fucking originals. But they still don't know what they're doing with this fucking show. Because they're doing the same mistakes. Or at least, again, focusing so much on Burnham is the mistake. Or just Tilly. Again, Tilly has had way too much screen time in this season. Again, makes sense now, but still, stupid amount of time wasted on her. But yeah, Booker's crap. So Booker goes for counselling, he makes something in a bowl, and then he's cured a little bit, but yeah, he's still depressed about losing his planet. And that's his entire story in this episode. That was it. Waste of fucking time. So let's just get on with the Tilly story. So Tilly and the group crash on the planet. It's a L-class planet, so barely habitable. They get attacked by some creatures things. We have this fight between the Orion and this pig-looking thing guy. I don't fucking know what the race is called, okay? He did have a nose, like, I don't fucking know. Anyway, so the Orion and the other alien pretty much pissed off at each other because one accuses him of being a slaver. The Orion gets pissed off at that because, you know, apparently we find out at the end of it, it's his father was an activist who stood up for the freedom of people and he died. And again, this is why I say that this entire episode should have been focused on Tilly and the group of cadets, because they didn't flush out the relationships of these cadets as much. It was pretty much quick fire shit. I mean, the pig guy and the Orion they hate each other, and then in 1 second they're friends. Like, that's just not real. It should have been longer. They should have had a fight, a decent fight, by the way. Not the Orion just carrying like a little bitch, and, you know, being depressed and all that. It just felt pointless, and the resolution was too quick. So, again, these writers don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're rushing this story because they want to get rid of Tilly fast, and, well, not sure about that, but they're just rushing this story because there's too much packed into this episode, and it's dumb. Yes, Star Trek used to have 2 stories going at once, but the main story would have the most screen time, and the little story would have a little bit of story time. That was the point of that. And when you cram so much into an episode, you have to rush so much. That's why this episode felt so rushed, and it felt so terrible. Because they couldn't write out a decent story because they had to focus on all the other stories. But anyway, Tilly manages to get the cadets off the planet by calling for help. She gets chased by these beasts, and then she decides, because she had this great day out with the cadets, she's now going to be a teacher, and that means she has to leave Discovery. And we get this scene between her and Burnham where she tells Burnham she's leaving Discovery, and Burnham brings up the fact Tilly snores, and yeah, that happened. And then she just leaves the ship. Doesn't get a massive sending off, just like the only characters that say goodbye to her, the only characters we ever see. And then it's done. And then she's gone. She warps off to become a teacher at Starfleet Academy. And then the episode ends. No, again, I'm happy she's gone. Again, I've never liked Tilly. Annoying character. Thank fuck she's gone. Does that mean the show's going to get better? Fuck no. We still got so much problems. But at least there's one problem we don't have to deal with anymore. And maybe we will start seeing more of the bridge crew. Again, the only fucking one I know is Deadmore. Could we find out a little bit about the other pricks on the bridge? Only a little bit. I'm not asking for entire episodes on them. I'm just asking, could we find out, like, their names? And I mean that shit in the episode. Not just a fucking, I have to go to the IMDb page to find out all that shit. Because I'm not going to do that, because I'm not going to waste my fucking time. Anyway, terrible episode. Great to see Tilly's gone. And God, what a mess of an episode. Anyway, and that's it. If you like this review, give it a like. If you dislike this review, give it a dislike. I know the dislike button's gone. Well, the dislike button doesn't show, but I still look at it. And if you like my content, do think about subscribing. Hail the Phantom Menace. Long live CG. Fuck SJWs. Bye.